Hello beautiful people, welcome to another Witchy Weed Wednesday. I'm here in my backyard with this really overgrown specimen of Japanese barberry. This is my confession of I haven't landscaped a lot this year video, so please just give some grace to the random grapevine trying to live its best life in the middle of this really pokey bush. Gonna be a problem for another day. But anyhow, this guy is a problem for a lot of people. This is a really rampant invasive species that came over from Japan in the 1800s. And it was brought over as an ornamental shrub because it has what is called year-round interest. Now, what does that mean? So, when you're gardening and you're doing landscaping, you want plants that look pretty all the time. And Japanese barberry is one of those plants because it has this nice kind of like pinkish yellow foliage. About 3 weeks ago, it had these like pretty little dangly yellow flowers, and those turn into these bright red berries that a lot of birds like to eat, that will hang out all throughout the winter. So all year long it has color, which is great, right? The problem is that this stuff is not unlike thistle. And if you've gardened, you know that thistle is this mutant terminator plant where if you happen to cut off a piece of leaf or miss a fragment of root and you drop that anywhere near dirt, it makes a whole new plant. And Japanese barberry is the exact same way. It's really invasive and it forms dense thickets that will pop up all over the understories of forests around different cities. The main problem with that is this stuff is super pokey. I used to call this landscaper's hell back when I used to do some kind of freelance landscaping back in the day, because you don't really see these filamentous tiny little needles until they are stuck in your finger. And unless you have welting gloves on, it doesn't matter. They're just going to go through and they're going to stab stuff. But the bigger problem with Japanese barberry in terms of being an invasive species is that it is a bramble plant. So it covers up a lot of space and chokes out a lot of other plants. But the main concern, especially if you live anywhere where you're familiar with the tick population rising in Michigan right now, or anywhere else in the States, or anywhere else, and I'm sorry if you also have to deal with that, is that the dense thickety space they form in the bottom of the plant is a great habitat for ticks. So what will happen is a deer is going to casually wander past this guy, smack up against all this, knock the ticks off his body, and they're going to go down here and just breed and live in the bottom of this plant. And so they've been able to do scientific studies showing that wherever you have increased populations of this growing up as an invasive, because the birds like these, and when the birds eat them and poop them out somewhere, voila, they make a whole new Japanese barberry. And there is a notable scientific correlation between the number of Japanese barberry in an area and how many ticks there are in that area. And so if you live somewhere with a high tick population, growing these on your property is not the best situation. If you're having a tick problem, you may want to look at removing these and doing so carefully. And if you do remove an invasive species, remember it goes in the trash, not in the yard bag, because the yard bag hits somewhere else and becomes somewhere else's problem and spreads more of them. Don't do that. But yeah, be careful. Get all the little pieces. They will make more copies themselves given any opportunity whatsoever. But they are really pretty. I found them to be really good for protection for children. And what you'll do, and I'll do a little snippet on this in the Patreon group later, is you take a couple of these branches and you snip them off, you make an equal arm cross, you take a bit of your hair or the child's hair and wrap it around there, and use that to tie it up, get some red or any color of thread, really, we're not doing Rowan, so I don't think it matters, it doesn't have to be red, but red looks cool, and wrap that up and stick that in the child's window. And it creates a nice little protective charm that I found to be really effective. If you want to get really serious about it, put a little bit of lodestone in the center, have craft hour, pull out your hot glue, make your equal arm cross with Japanese barberry, glue a lodestone right in the center of it, wrap that in hair and thread, put it up in the window. You know, it looks like something people wouldn't know is spooky, but it is very effective at being a good window ward. But, you know, you have to weigh that with the invasive issue. Y'all are going to get a free fact sheet about this today, so you have like a little go-to reference if you want to do some IDing in the wilderness and seeing if you have some of this. It's pretty conspicuous. It has these alternating clusters of 3 to 5 leaves that grow all along the stems. The newer foliage you can see is really pretty and pink. These are the older guys. It has also alternating thorns at the base of all of the leaf shoots. And then underneath of that, right in the armpit of those leaves and thorns, will grow these really pretty little berries that will be really pretty little yellow flowers earlier in the spring. And this is a very bushy specimen. Sometimes when you find this in the wild in a field somewhere, it's just like 2 or 3 branches that are often very long, like these dudes, and just laying somewhere. And you will just walk into it, and if you're wearing shorts, you instantly have a whole gallon of regret about your clothing choices that day. But yeah, that's the important stuff you need to know. Keep an eye out for low-lying thickets with alternating clusters of 3 to 5 leaves, sharp thorns on them, and bright yellow flowers or bright red berries. And if you find them on your property and you don't want to have more ticks in your land this year, it's in your best interest just to go ahead and pull them. So I will advocate for herbicide with invasive plants, because often that's the only way to get rid of them. You can try to aggressively dig the root out, but once again, you miss anything that's going to make 2 more. Wherever you miss pieces of root, it's going to be a whole new plant. So you can ideally let this grow until the fall, and in the fall the plant will start drawing nutrients into the roots. At that point, you can cut it down and spray herbicide on the stumps. And that way the plant will draw the herbicide into the root system and hopefully not come back next year. But this is often a multi-year battle, and I wish you all the best of luck. All right, take care. Bye-bye.